The 2026 NFL Combine is here. We'll talk about what positions the Eagles need to prioritize looking into this year's Combine, plus another internal promotion with coaching positions and the latest around the league, including the Tush Push being banned, but not where you think it is. Without wasting any more time, let's dive right into it. What's up, y'all, and welcome to Second and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast powered by Old City Sports Network, the best network for all your Philadelphia sports needs. This is your host, Michael Roscoe. The NFL Combine starts today, in which the best college athletes looking to get drafted showcase their physical skills through a variety of challenges that will test their strength, speed, agility, and more. The Eagles have some key holes to fill, and we'll talk about what we think about those and what they are. But first, the latest news from across the league. So starting off, we got some unfortunate news. Most of you have probably already heard this by now, but it is a touchy subject, so listener discretion is advised. Earlier in the week, it was reported that wide receiver Rondale Moore of the Minnesota Vikings, formerly of the Arizona Cardinals, was found dead in his hometown of New Albany, Indiana. The cause of death has been ruled a suicide from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He was just 25 years old. Fellow players and fans have expressed their mourning via social media as they take in such sorrow news. It's always a sad moment when you hear stories like this, and it just goes to show that we may not always know what is going on inside the minds of those around us, whether it be our family, our friends, peers, or whomever. And no matter how successful someone might look on the outside, it doesn't mean that they're not struggling on the inside. And it's hard sometimes to tell these signs because a lot of people hide their struggles very well until it's too late. We're thinking of the Moore family during this devastating time, and if you or someone you know is at risk of harming themselves or have thoughts of suicide, please, please, please do not hesitate to seek help by calling the National Suicide and Crisis Hotline by dialing 988 or 1-800-273-8255, and these are listed here at the bottom of your screen. Help is out there and available 24/7. In other league news, a couple of franchise tags have been announced and a future release date may come as a surprise. For the franchise tagging, it has been announced that the Atlanta Falcons plan to franchise tag tight end Kyle Pitts, and the Dallas Cowboys have announced that they're, quote, leaning towards franchise tagging wide receiver George Pickens. With this tag, Kyle Pitts would receive a one-year deal worth around $15 to $16 million. If Pickens is franchise tagged, I think his one-year deal would be somewhere between like $28 and $30 million. But in another move from the Falcons, their general manager Ian Cunningham announced that they plan on releasing quarterback Kirk Cousins just 2 years after they signed him on a 4-year, $180 million deal with $100 million guaranteed. However, he won't be released until the beginning of the new league year, which, according to ESPN, if they release him next month with a June 1st designation, I think it might be a post-June 1st designation, I'm not 100% sure, this would save the Falcons around $2.1 million in cap salary this year. However, they would have a dead cap of around $35 million spread out over the 2026 and 2027 seasons. And last news across the league, this is kind of NFL league news, but just bear with me. It was announced Wednesday that the Tush Push, the play infamously made successful by the Philadelphia Eagles and has been at the center of plenty of controversy, including attempts at banning it, has been banned in the UFL. The Spring Football League, known as the United Football League, has banned the Tush Push play in their most recent series of rule changes for their upcoming season. Another noteworthy change to this league is that field goals 60 or more yards will be worth 4 points instead of 3. Now, I could kind of get behind that with the NFL. I doubt they will adopt such a thing, but I don't think it's a bad idea. But for those who wanted to have the Tush Push banned, you got your wish, just not where you wanted it to be. All right, before we talk about the Combine, we have a brief Eagles news story, and that is they made another internal coaching promotion promoting former quality control coach Montgomery Van Gorder, hell of a name by the way, to assistant quarterbacks coach, where he will work under the newly promoted quarterbacks coach Parks Frazier. All right, let's dive into the NFL Combine. So, the Combine starts its first of 4 days where players showcase their abilities in hopes of impressing teams and increasing their draft stock, as the 2026 NFL Draft is just under 2 months away. Today starts with defensive linemen, linebackers, and place kickers. Friday will feature defensive backs and tight ends. Saturday will host quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers. And it will conclude on Sunday with offensive linemen. Eagles general manager Howie Roseman and head coach Nick Sirianni spoke with the media on Tuesday at the Combine site, where they spoke on subjects such as the Combine itself, free agency, Sean Mannion, along with changes to the offense, and more. And the overall consensus that I got from their statements is that for free agency, the Eagles are going to prioritize Eagles players first before seeking outside help. And for the offensive scheme, they're still very excited for Sean Mannion and all the changes, such as more under center from our quarterback and more under center play action, areas in which Jalen Hurts tends to do pretty well with. And specifically with the offense, I remember in an older episode where we talked about the overall consensus being excitement when the first few offensive coaching changes occurred, like basically right around when we hired Sean Mannion. So I'm glad that this feeling is still present as we are moving closer into the events of next season, the Combine, the draft, free agency, all of that. Again, we won't know how well these coaches will do until we see how their players, as well as themselves, perform during the regular season. But everything seems to be trending in the right direction. But anyway, back to the Combine. There are several positions that the Eagles are looking to fill with their team, and some of those are going to depend on how the team goes about free agency. Obviously, if some guys leave, which some will, that'll change the level of priority of needed positions. So, based on the current roster right now, with everyone still on it, here are the 3 positions of priority that I think the team needs to focus on in this Combine and ultimately the draft. These are not the only ones, but the ones I think at this very moment we should prioritize the most. First position I think we got to prioritize is cornerback. The way the Birds went about replacing Darius Slay at the corner position opposite of Quinyon Mitchell was, how do I say this? It was pretty damn bad. Adoree Jackson, pretty successful towards the last third of the season, but a rough first 2/3. Jacorian Bennett, injured and when not injured, play like a bum. Keely Ringo, just not mad, just disappointed. And he had several crucial mistakes throughout the season, like running into the end zone to avoid a tackle, while Washington's Josh Johnson, their 3rd string quarterback, waltzed that shit in like Jaden Daniels. Then you got Michael Carter, who not terrible, but not at the level we had hoped to be. You got Mac McWilliams. He just lacks experience and was a late round drafted rookie. The depth ain't looking too hot. You need 2 outside corners on the field, and we only have 1 on the depth chart that was consistently performing and performing well in all games throughout the regular and postseason, and that was Quinyon Mitchell. We need another powerhouse corner opposite of Mitchell, and if we don't do anything in free agency at corner, which I would not be surprised if we didn't, then we'll need to look at the Combine for potential draft picks this April. Currently, it looks like the top 3 cornerback prospects are Jamar McCoy out of the University of Tennessee, Avion Bell out of Clemson, and Mansour Delane out of LSU. The next position I think we got to prioritize is safety. I think that this is more of a need than people realize. We are fucking paper thin at capable safeties. Leading the pack is Reed Blankenship, who is fucking amazing, but currently a free agent. He's one hell of a player, but there is a chance he could walk in free agency if the price isn't right. Next, you have Andrew Makuba, who showed promise as a rookie, and I really liked his play, where he logged 46 total tackles, half a sack, and 2 interceptions in 11 games, but he got injured, and the injury was significant enough to keep him out for the remainder of the season. So we just don't know how quickly he'll be able to bounce back at the start of the upcoming season. Not saying he couldn't, I'm just saying right now we don't know. Then we have Sidney Brown and Marcus Epps. Both of these guys have like bull in a china shop personalities that tend to cloud their judgments. And then with Epps, we had released him like a year or two ago, and we brought him back only because we were so thin at safety when Makuba and Blankenship were injured. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles let him walk in free agency. They did it once, I could see them doing it again. And because of these, we could be down to just 2 capable safeties if Blankenship and Epps were to exit in free agency. I doubt the Eagles will draft a safety in the first round, considering they never have, but maybe this could be the year that changes. At the very least, if we don't make a splash in free agency like we didn't do last season at the safety position, we should draft a safety in the second round again. Currently, the top 3 safety prospects for the 2026 NFL Draft include Caleb Downs out of Ohio State, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren out of Toledo, and Dylan Thieneman out of Oregon. And finally, the last position I think we need to prioritize is offensive line. Our O-line did not look like the 2024 season offensive line, and part of that was the extensive amount of injuries they suffered this year. Between Jordan Mailata during the preseason, along with Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson, and Lane Johnson in the regular season, our O-line had to fight tooth and nail to get through this season in one piece. Even our depth guys like Fred Johnson and Brett Toth dealt with their share of injuries. With aging players and free agency, along with 2025 rookies who just didn't get valuable experience, we need to build up a young, reliable set of successor offensive linemen. The Birds definitely need to keep an eye out on the O-lineman prospects this year. The only thing that I think when it comes to the draft later this year and offensive linemen is that we shouldn't draft one in the first round. All other rounds, fair game, go at it. Because historically, the Eagles have not had success with drafting offensive linemen in the first round. Since 2000, the Eagles have drafted only 4 offensive linemen in the first round, and those were Sean Andrews, Danny Watkins, Lane Johnson, and Andre Dillard. Dillard was the last O-lineman drafted in the first round by the Eagles, and that was back in 2019. And only one of those players, Lane Johnson, has been successful and lasted as long as he has. The majority of our offensive lineman success has come in the later rounds. I think the Birds should stick with what history has shown and wait till the later rounds to stockpile on offensive linemen. All right, y'all, that is it for this week's episode. Thank you all for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or follow on YouTube, X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok by searching at Second and 15 or by the full name Second and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast. You can find the audio for each and every single episode releasing Thursday mornings on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Player FM, or wherever you get your podcasts, with the video uploading to YouTube later that same day. This episode, Second and 15, and Old City Sports Network are brought to you by Warlord Beard Oil. Head on over to warlordbeardoil.com and use our promo code OLDSPORTS, all caps, for 15% off of your beard oils, washes, soaps, and many other products. Warlord Beard Oil is a veteran-owned company, so go ahead and check out their website, warlordbeardoil.com, and use our promo code to save you some money on some great purchases today. Once again, thanks y'all for joining in. This is 2nd and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast powered by Old City Sports Network. We'll see you all next week. Don't forget to stay fly like an eagle, and as always, go Birds!